All right, guys, here we are to watch another trailer. Today we're going to be watching the trailer for the movie Let It Fall.
I feel like this is going to be about, like, racism and, like, stuff. It's going to be awkward for us.
Yeah, well, it says in the little trailer card here, 1982, 1992.
LA.
So it's like Rodney King, the riots.
That's Rodney King there.
Oh,
I think.
there's a thumb. There we
Is
go.
it? Is that what I'm saying?
It
Like
could be.
It's like a famous, maybe it's a recreation of that
I don't
famous
know.
picture.
Let's check it out. Probably another
What
documentary.
about our white privilege, though?
All right, so kind of like everything else in the documentary world, I'm already going into it with like a thumbs down mentality.
Yeah.
And like this, I don't have a very good opinion because I either wasn't alive or I was watching Ninja Turtles during a large majority of this.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely a terrifying thing to be a part of. This wasn't even on our coast, but I can't even imagine. It was like
Oh, totally.
horrible
totally.
riots happening right down the
So,
street and shit.
Did you watch The People vs. OJ on?
I watched part of
whatever?
it, didn't
All
catch the
right.
whole thing.
That actually does a really good job of well, in my opinion, also not being alive yet or whatever the fuck, does a really good job of like showing a lot of this racism and the LAPD and all that stuff. And this is the kind of thing you've heard about for years, and it's actually really shocking because for us in our lives, the way our lives have gone, we don't really see a lot of racism like this or whatever, and. We're kind of like, oh, that stuff used to be that way, but blah, blah, blah. But this is like in 1990 or something like that.
Yeah.
And there was a huge problem with the LAPD. And I think now it's like viewed as a success story, I want to say, where they've like revamped the whole department. But they devote some time here to like, they were allowing and like training the officers to use certain like moves on people that was literally causing all these accidental deaths and all these problems with like police brutality and all these things. And there was a whole culture of like racism and shittiness and this whole loop that eventually culminated in these riots and in this horrible stuff and all these things.
Yeah.
So, but again though, very heavy. Seems like a well done documentary, but like, yes, not something
love
I'm
seeing the
like,
footage,
ooh,
though.
let's dive into this. Yeah, I know.
And like, but most of this is like I can glean everything I want just from the trailer in these things.
Yeah.
But I love watching like the old footage from. I'm like, oh Jesus, just like little things that like either like and like there's not much good about the nostalgia of this one.
Yeah.
But I like the old cop cars is something I've always been a much
Okay.
bigger fan of, like the Crown Victorias than like what you have now, where it's like they drive Chargers. Like what the fuck?
Right.
And I think that takes it in an element almost where like it's outside of itself. And I see like old footage, and I immediately think of like the Blues Brothers and stuff like that, where like
Yeah.
it doesn't even feel real when you think this happened. Like some of this while we were alive is like very weird.
Oh yeah, that was the point I was making. Was like
it was
such
not that long ago.
such a relatively short time ago, and yeah, when you see that like archive footage, even people's like haircuts and clothing and all that
Yeah.
stuff, because we saw it like parodied and like turned up to 11 in like comedy stuff that we watched as kids,
Yeah.
and now it's like no, that's how people used to dress and how people used to be.
And like people there's a part where a
Scary
dude
time.
gets pulled out of an 18-wheeler and he gets clocked in the face with a brick, and the brick just breaks. And then they show that dude from a different angle. He's like dead on the ground, like just blood gushing out of him. And you're like, holy shit! And like, that kind of shit's so
That's a
scary. 'Cause
famous
you're like,
thing, yeah.
you're like, that dude just got pulled out of his car and beat to death. And granted, he was driving through a riot, but like seemingly just because he was a white dude, like bam,
I remember
dead.
that story of that guy or something about that. Because that's not Rodney King, obviously, but that's like that same like day or area or something, whatever the fuck. Oh, and these people. Adam Carolla always makes this joke about. He talks about like during the riots when those Vietnamese people were just on the roofs of their convenience stores with guns, being
I
like,
remember
"Get the
hearing
fuck out
about
or
shit
whatever."
like that. Yeah.
He gives them
Because they
a
were
lot-
burning down all the buildings, and they were trying to save, like, everything they
Yeah.
had is in these fucking buildings.
whenever whenever like a story would come up and it'd be like, well, there was an Asian person who did this, and people would say, really, an Asian person did that? And I'm probably like, let me tell you, they're fucking hardy people. I remember during the riots they were on the roof, and he would cite that to like give them a lot of credit for like being badass for like
Yeah.
trying to like defend their thing. But yeah, just like that, that image of that happening, all this in America is always such a crazy fucking thing. I'd like to think that this is like in the past and like done or whatever.
But
the fuck,
that's
right?
half the thing
That's
is
the
like
whole
you
thing,
like
so you're like,
we're so far from it. You assume
Yeah.
this is all dead and gone, but like
Right.
like the BLA is like there's constantly marches because things are not over and done with, and it's
I
very
know.
very interesting to see. Like we've certainly come such a long way, but we have a long way I guess to go. That right there, it's playing in the background silently.
Yeah.
That dude just get
Smashed.
bricked. Like holy shit. You just
No, serious
it
fucking
like
shit.
makes you think how fragile human life is. There's just people
Oh,
in the
yeah.
streets shooting at each other like in broad daylight, which really makes it feel real. And you think
Yes.
like how much of a game changer just guns are in general. Where like anybody could kill anybody at any time, and you have nothing you could do to defend yourself.
That's what makes this so scary. Is like because when you see like the real ass footage, because like we always see fights and violence in like movies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Where they frame it up and it cuts to like slow mo real fast and it's very dramatic. And when you get shot, you like fly backwards and like doves fly, go in the air. But in real life, it's just pop, pop, pop. Dude falls
you crumble
down
and you're dead.
Yeah, and you're just like holy shit.
And during a riot,
And,
there's
like,
no ambulance coming. There's nothing. There's too many things happening. You're dead.
And we are honestly like in like a global and like historical sense, like super blessed to have never like this has
100%.
never happened to us. It hasn't even been like, oh, don't go downtown today. There's a fucking crazy thing. We live in fucking New Jersey. Nothing has ever happened, like anywhere close to being along these lines. And it's super scary to see it and how recently it did happen and all that shit.
Now, always saying how blessed we are to be
fucking
born in the time we are born, the
I
place in the
know.
world we are born, the fact that I can go like literally 10 feet down the road to a store and get food whenever I want.
With no concerns. And just at how fragile a human's life is, and also the whole situation. Because you could see over the next 3, 5, 10 years, some shit starts blowing up, some shit starts happening, there's a curfew, something else happens, and then we're in a horrible situation again. So easily.
Yeah, well, they had
Something
curfews
could
in
just
Detroit,
happen
not Detroit,
Well,
Chicago, not too long ago.
There's places here.
Actually, that
and
might still be
everywhere
happening. I'm not too hip to
there
that.
are some super bad parts that we're again blessed not to live in and all that stuff, but it could just start happening. It could just at any time. That's what makes it so fucking scary.
One of the reasons the property in the town we live in right now was so cheap was the riots were here in the 80s.
Yeah, and the repercussions kept until this area.
Exactly.
No, I know. Fuck.
All right, guys,
So,
but nothing to discredit
yes.
anything that's happening in this thing. Simply put, that I do not watch documentaries. I don't have any interest in
agree,
reality.
yes.
I like to be taken away
Yes.
and put into a nice bubble of happiness and a warm cushion of humor or horror. And there's too many horrors already in the world that I don't need to see this stuff firsthand. I will respect it for what it is, but I am sorry. You're getting a thumbs down.
I'm glad you used that word respect, because that's what I was waiting to say. Is I have a tremendous amount of respect for this documentary and the events and situations that it's detailing, but I also do not want to watch it, partially because this looks really well done if you want to dive into this, but I do not either.
Yeah, really, really nice cuts.
No,
that's something that documentaries are definitely getting better at. And one of the things I think that really put me off on documentaries is watching a number of bad documentaries.
I know.
But good ones can definitely. Had I started off with some things, like this, and even that other one, the Al Gore one, where I'm like, oh no, it's good, it's using good footage and things happening. I might have a different opinion of documentaries, and I might like it better. But
totally
as
agree.
life exists now, I don't.
No, I totally agree, and because when you see a trailer for a documentary, it's either snippets of cuts in that documentary, or usually because when people make a movie, they like farm out the trailer because they're still filming usually and they're busy and they got to deal with Ryan Gosling and all that shit.
Mm-hmm.
But the documentary people generally make their own trailers, is my understanding. So when you see a good trailer for a documentary, there's a lot of reasons why it's more indicative of what that documentary is going to give you. So yes,
I think these are things that should be shown in school. And I would have totally preferred to watch one of these things on a school day than to do your average day of school work from a book or some bullshit.
And this probably would have taught you a lot more than reading several chapters about
definitely
recent American history. Because this is like interviews with people who were there, and
that's exactly it.
Footage of people doing stuff at the time.
Mentally imagining something versus seeing it, huge difference.
Yeah.
And we learned, oh yeah, Rodney King was beaten, but I may never have seen the full clip of dude getting destroyed. Yeah. But yeah, so like I said, these are things that I would totally vote to show them in school, but I there's no place for them in my free time.
Agree, looks good, but we are thumbsing down.
Thumbsing down until next time,
thumbs
guys.
down.
Don't die in a fire.
Because we don't want to watch it.